Hello, friends. I want to talk to you today about something that I've mentioned in an earlier Talking Faith Devo, and it's about the subject of holiness. I'd like to read two verses from the New Testament and juxtapose them. The first verse is from 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 15 and 16. Let me read that for you. It says this: "But just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, be holy because I am holy." So there we have a pretty clear word from God saying, listen, you be holy because I'm holy. And Peter's saying, be holy in all you do. Pretty clear command. Let me compare that or use that with Philippians 2, verse 12 and 13. Let me read that for you. It says this: "Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to his good purpose." So there, it sounds like we have some action items there. We have some things to do there. So if God says, be holy because I am holy, obviously it's something we can do. But how do we do that? How do we be holy? We're not God. How can we be holy? Well, let me tell you, here's the wonderful news. That when we were saved, when you received Jesus in your heart, you became holy. Holy means to be set apart. You were put in one camp when you were born, unsaved, and you entered another camp the second you received Christ. So in essence, God is saying, you are holy when you come to my Son. However, here's what I want to talk about. It sounds like Paul in Philippians is telling us there's some work on our part, which there definitely is. And here's where I want to go to an example I call the joint venture. When I disciple men, I take them through a book called The Pursuit of Holiness, and I'd recommend this to everyone. And there's a wonderful illustration about the farmer farming and tending a piece of ground and God. It's a joint venture between God and the farmer. And it goes something like this. The farmer is required to till the land, plant the seed, take all the rocks, anything bad out of the dirt. But what the farmer can't do is cause the rain to fall on his crop, or the seed to germinate under the ground, or the sun to shine just perfectly. It's a joint venture between God and the farmer. And this is where I want to compare it to us, because there's things that God expects us to do. There's things that he certainly does, but let me tell you this. God will not do what he asks us to do, and we cannot do what only God can do. And again, it's this joint venture or this balance that I think is so useful. And again, this is our part in sanctification or holiness. Holiness and the word sanctification are very close as well. So there's a couple things that I think that are barriers or that stand in our way from living out this holiness or making these right decisions that we should make during our life. It would be analogous to the farmer clearing the field, plowing it, doing everything we can do. And I think one of the main things is our problem is our view of sin is more self-centered than God-centered. It's way more self-centered than God-centered. And let me explain that. We seem to be more concerned with victory, if you will. We always seek victory instead of obedience. And victory is just being successful in something. Obedience, obviously, is being obedient to God. And I think the problem there is this, that when we're looking to overcome a sinful habit, we don't do it because it grieves the heart of God. We do it because, hey, we've gained victory over that. We can move on. And there's nothing wrong with victory, but if we're not looking at it right, we can err badly. Again, I don't think we care that our sin grieves the heart of God. And again, we don't tolerate sin because we are totally success-oriented. Let me just use a real quick analogy. Theoretically, let's say I'm 10 pounds overweight and I want to lose weight. Well, in 2 weeks, I've lost 10 pounds. Well, it could be because I go on some crash diet, I'm eating what I shouldn't be eating, or taking diet pills or something like that. But I'm victorious because I'm success-oriented, I lost the 10 pounds. But what about if I was obedient to God's command? God says we're to take care of our temple because it is God's home, the temple of God. Out of obedience, I eat and exercise because this is God's temple. Well, I lose the 10 pounds, but my goal is to be obedient to God. And I think that's something that we really need to take into mind. Why are we seeking holiness? To look good in other people's eyes? To be the Sunday Christian? Or because it pleases God's heart? And again, I think it's all in how we look at things. There's that saying that if you shoot at heaven, you get earth thrown in. But if you shoot at earth, you get neither. Where are our goals? What are we shooting at? And this was something that was on my whiteboard for a number of years. I have it like this: victory is a byproduct of obedience. Again, my dear friends, we don't shoot at victory, we shoot at obedience, and victory gets thrown in. So when we're looking at God, and let me take it back to the verse I started with, be holy because I'm holy. God will never ask you to do something He hasn't equipped you to do. So if He's asking us to be holy, He will give us the tools and the wherewithal to do that. Now it's up to us to do it. So when we shoot at obedience, because our heart is to be obedient to God, we are victorious, and nothing wrong with being victorious. But the reason is because we want to glorify God, and we want to raise Him up, not ourselves. Yes, we will look good in the process. There's nothing wrong with being victorious. But if our goal is to be obedient, we're going to be victorious. So I just wanted to leave that with you today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.